أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن للمتقين مفازا حدائق وأعنابا وكواعب أترابا وكأسا دهاقا لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا كذابا جزاء من ربك عطاء حسابا رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما الرحمن لا يملكون منه خطابا يوم يقوم الروح والملائكة صفا لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا ذلك اليوم الحق فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه مآبا إنا أنذرناكم عذابا قريبا يوم ينظر المرء ما قدمت يداه ويقول الكافر يا ليتني كنت ترابا صدق الله العظيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Firstly, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for granting us the ability of being in the best of ummah, that is the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this ummah such that humanity has always faced challenges. We tend to look around us, especially after COVID, and we wonder that how are we going to pull through? So at every occasion we get, the discussion is, should we relocate? We all look at our children and we say, what is the next step? And then we look at other countries in the world and we find that there are great challenges facing the entire world. But we have to also understand that these challenges are not anything new. The ummah has always faced challenges. From the time of Adam alayhi salam, there were challenges. Ayyub alayhi salam went through challenges in his physical life to an extent that Ayyub alayhi salam's wife had to go out and do menial tasks like clean people's homes in order to get some food to feed him who was bedridden. A day came when she walked around the streets and nobody could give her a job. And this I'm referring to the wife of Ayyub alayhi salam, who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praises in the Quran. And she went around, couldn't get a job. Eventually she came and she found some money and she came and she fed him. When she brought the food in, he asked a pertinent question. You couldn't get a job. I know nobody gave you a job today. Where did you get the money to put this food in my mouth today? So she said to him, Nabi Allah Ayyub, you are not in a good condition. Eat the food, then we'll talk later. So he said, I will not put this morsel of food in my mouth until you tell me how you did this. And then with tears in her eyes, she said to him that today I had to cut a portion of my hair and sell it to somebody in order to buy food for you. So these challenges that the ummah has faced have always been there. But understand that together with that, Allah has always kept those who will assist others throughout difficulties. The South African Muslim community, during the period of COVID, showed such a bright side of Islam that I think probably wasn't shown on such a large scale in this country ever before. Every avenue that you looked at, it was Muslims in the forefront of assisting others. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept it such that our joy as Muslims is not in what we use, but rather in what we share with others. If we restrict our joys in life to ourselves, our joys in life will be very limited. But when our joys in life entail assisting others, we expand our joys and our fulfillment in life to a very, very great extent. Ali radiallahu anhu said something very amazing. He said the greatest gift in life is for someone to see you as an avenue of the fulfillment of their need. Let me repeat that. There were a group of youngsters who asked Ali radiallahu anhu that, "Oh Ali, what is the greatest gift that anybody can be bestowed with?" And his reply was, for somebody to see you as the fulfillment of their need is the greatest gift that Allah can bless anybody with. We are just the means. Man farraja an mu'minin kurbatan, he who removes a difficulty of a person in this world, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remove their difficulties on the day of Qiyamah. Now, we look at all of the organizations around us and take an example of Ashraful Aid. Throughout the whole COVID period, we saw the work that was taking place. And as a Muslim community, we feel so proud that we have got organizations like this. And now let me tell you what keeps people like this going. There's a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam that says, "Inna lillahi khalqan." Verily Allah has got a selected group of His creation. خَلَقَهُمْ لِحَوَائِجِ النَّاسِ. Allah has created them for the fulfillment of the rights of people and the needs of people. يَفْزَعُ النَّاسُ إِلَيْهِمْ. People flock to them to fulfill their needs. أُولَٰئِكَ الْآمِنُونَ مِنْ عَذَابِ اللَّهِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, these are the people who will be protected from the punishment of Allah on the day of Qiyamah. Now that goes with something else. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam didn't stop there. And we all ask ourselves this question. Sometimes we ask ourselves, in every facet of charity work, you find a day that comes when somebody says something to you nasty, and then you think to yourself, but why do I need to carry on with this? Sometimes in your family, you are the person that everybody comes to when they have a problem. Sometimes you are the person in your community that when there's an issue, everybody come to you, and you think to yourself, but why me all the time? And then what did Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam say? فَإِذَا مَلُّوا. When this group of people who Allah blesses with the ability and the capabilities to sort people's problems out, when they get tired, what does Allah do? Allah is ghani, Allah is independent. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, نَقَلَهَا إِلَىٰ غَيْرِهِمْ. What does Allah do? The cycle never ends. Allah just moves this responsibility from them to somebody else. How often don't we say, and our mothers and sisters go through so much. I mean, I've got a friend who's the MC at today's function. He's got this habit of coming home and saying, I've got 50 people coming for lunch, please prepare. But he didn't bring 50 people, he brought 100. He was just scared of saying 100. How many of us do that? And then our mothers and sisters are tired. But what do they say? Sometimes the thought crosses your mind, why always my house? Why is it every time there's a family function, my house gets dirty? Never look at it in that light again. Now look at it in the light of this hadith, that when you get tired, Allah will simply move it to somebody else. Without doubt, our ladies do fantastic work when it comes to charity. In Makkah al Mukarramah, I attended something very similar to this. And, I was told about, I'll repeat what one of the keynote speakers said there. He said, you can't really rely on men when it comes to anything in life. And then this person who is from Makkah al Mukarramah narrated something very beautiful. He said, men are very optimistic in life and sometimes they're over-optimistic. So he gave a beautiful example and he said, in the Ajiyad hospital, which is right outside the haram of Makkah al Mukarramah, he said it was very, very hot, in the 40s, over 40 degrees. And this foreign brother was there making tawaf, and because of the excessive heat, he happened to faint. So they rushed him to the Ajiyad hospital. But because of his situation, they put him into a room in order to get him stabilized and do a few checks, etc. So this brother was fast asleep, and eventually when his eyes open, he is completely oblivious of where he is. So when he opens his eyes, he is in a room where all the walls are white, the sheets over him are white, The aircon is blowing a beautiful breeze, and this brother sits up and he says, Jannah. And now he comes to the door of his room, of his ward, and he opens the door. And the nurses see him from a distance, and a lot of the nurses are not local, a lot of them are foreign. And one of the nurses happens to be from one of the countries where the lady's hair is blonde. So these three nurses, they realize, what is this man doing? He's supposed to be laying there for his health. So they run towards him, and this brother, mashallah, says, Al-Hur. He says, one. One at a time. So at this gala, this brother said, men are over-optimistic, but he said women also play a very important role in Islam when it comes to all the charity. Remember, when we assist somebody, we have made the dunya. Maybe we just made the dunya a little easy. But wallahi, they have made our akhirah. When Allah blesses you, don't raise your walls. Extend your tables. This is why Allah has made us givers. This is why Allah has made us as a Muslim ummah givers. Ubadah bin Samit radiallahu anh had a horse that he wanted to sell. So he went out in the market and he showed everybody his beautiful Arabian horse, and somebody came and they offered him 150 dirhams. And he said to the brother, no, I'm not happy with 150. And the person said, how much do you want? He said, I will sell it to you for less. This person said, but you're selling a horse, why on earth would you sell it to me for less? So he said to him, I know your condition, take it for 100. The next day, Ubadah bin Samit radiallahu anh is buying a horse. He goes to the person, he asks him, how much do you want? And the brother says, I want 150 dirhams. So Ubadah bin Samit radiallahu anh says, no, I'm not happy. So they laugh at him. And they say, yesterday you weren't happy with 150, again you're not happy today. So he said to the brother, no, let's do it at 250. So this brother said, you're offering me 250? And then Ubadah bin Samit keeps quiet and he carries on 350, 450, until he eventually tells his brother, okay, how about 800 dirhams? When he buys it for 800 dirhams and he walks away, his companions tell him, Ubadah, 150 dirhams for a horse and you paying 800? He said, Allah has created us as Muslims as givers, we are never takers. He says, inculcate the habit in us to give, and then we will see the barakah. Whenever Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw charity being given, what was the question? The famous question. When Abu Bakr radiallahu anh came and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he presented his charity, Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anh presented his charity, what was the question that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked? Kam tarakt. Not how much are you giving. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam never ever asked a sahabi, how much are you giving? Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Kam tarakt. How much have you left behind? It's an amazing question. 2 minutes. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked, how much have you left behind for your family? And that is when Abu Bakr radiallahu anh said, I left Allah and His Rasul for my family. But this is a very, very important question, that how much do we have and how much are we supposed to give in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Remember, it's not always about how much we give also, it's about the heart that we give it. In the time of Umar bin Abdul Aziz rahimahullah, there was a masjid that was being built by a very, very wealthy man. And this man stipulated that nobody will give even 1 dirham towards my masjid. I'm paying for it solely. So the masjid starts and he puts a plaque outside with his name. And as the masjid reaches completion, this man sees a dream for 3 days in a row that there is another lady's name written on the plaque. So he gets upset. He gets up and he tells his people, go out and see who has changed the board. And they go and they say, but your name is still on the board. On the 3rd occasion, he remembers the name. So now he summons this lady. When she comes, it is an elderly lady who is blind and walking with a stick. He tells her, how much did you donate for this masjid? She says, Wallahi, I've given nothing. How could I have donated? You said you are the man who is building this masjid. He says, you have to have done something. Why have I seen this phenomenal dream for 3 days in a row? She says, I only did one thing. Every time I came past the masjid, the horses that were carrying the bricks that were going to be built, used for the masjid, I looked at the horses and I saw them tired and I said, oh Allah, I can't donate towards the masjid. Let me at least feed the horses that are carrying the bricks of your house. And how was that accepted in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So as a Muslim ummah, let us open up. Remember Abdurrahman bin Auf radiallahu anh, we always talk about how much he gave. On one occasion, he gave 700 laden camels, to the extent that when those camels entered Medina, the whole of Medina was shaking. Uthman radiallahu anh, on one occasion got some wealth that came in for his business, and it was at a time when stock was very, very scarce. So some businessmen got there and they said to him, okay, Uthman, before you do any deal, we would like to make an offer. So he said, okay, make your offer. So they said, whatever your cost price is, we will give you 100% over and above that. So Uthman radiallahu anh said, no, I'm not happy. So they negotiated and they said, okay, we'll give you 150. He said, no, I'm not happy. They said 200%. So he said to them, I've already done a deal. And they said, well, what are you getting? We are the big businessmen of Makkah. We offering, how much have you got? He said, I've got 700. So they said, we beg of you, introduce us to this businessman, because if he can give us 700% profit, we will deal with him. He said, Baya'tu ma'allah. He said, I did my deal with Allah. Whatever I have, I've given it to Allah, and Allah promises 700 times more. That is exactly why you and I sit here today. There's two things which I'll tell you. There was a property in Makkah al Mukarramah, which was given to one of the muftis a good few years ago, and it was in a very prime position. So 3 of Makkah's big developers came to the mufti, and they said to him, Mufti, we need to talk to you. So he said, you're welcome. And they said, we would like to purchase this property that you have. We want to do a development. So he said to them, okay, what are you offering? So they said, look, we're ready to pay whatever it is. And they made a collective offer of 20 million riyals. So he said to them, how certain are you about this? They said, 100%, we'll do the deal right now. So he said, as a token of your sincerity, write out a check now of $1 million each. So each of them with very, very much enthusiasm, they wrote out the checks of $1 million riyals each, and they said, Mufti, here's it. He said to them, well, here's the deal that we're going to do. You guys have put down 3 million riyals. I'm putting down the land. You take the 3 millions, go and build a masjid on there. That is our greatest investment. Now, honestly, in life, we all have got that opportunity sometime in life. In Makkah al Mukarramah, on the day of Arafah, we all see milk being distributed. And there was a group of South Africans there, and in that fervor, went around and said, we would also like to donate milk on the day of Arafah, because Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam drank milk on the day of Arafah. So wherever they went to buy, they smiled and they said, no, brother, we don't have. Do you know why? Because one lady in Makkah took it upon herself that because a lady, Fadl radiallahu anha, gave Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam milk on the day of Arafah, she said, up to the day I am alive, I will buy out all the milk that is available on the day of Arafah, and I will give it out for free. Allah has given us such role models. And I leave you with one simple thing. If you ever want to know the net worth of a person, how do you ascertain that? I'm talking in front of very educated people. And I'm fully aware of the net worth of people that are sitting in front of me. And I'm asking a question, how do you determine the net worth of a person? Sahaba radiallahu anhum gave us a formula. The net worth of Sahaba that is explained in the hadith has always been one formula. Net worth of Sahaba was determined on the amount they spent in the path of Allah. You will only find Uthman gave so much, Abdurrahman bin Auf gave so much, this Sahabi gave so much. If you want to know your net worth in the eyes of Allah, let's ask ourselves, how much have we given? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless Ashraful Aid, which is an organization which gives us utmost pride in our country. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala crown it with success. May Allah crown it with sincerity. May Allah bless all of you who have come here today. And may Allah grant us all the ability to spend in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to support the avenues that are made available to us. Jazakumullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.